All right, so I'm lucky to be joined today by James Genenz, the bass
Yeah.
player, one of my favorite bass players. He's a bass player for Jungle Rot. He also has played in a number of other bands. We're going to talk about those as well. But brother, how you doing today?
Sitting in the house just like everybody else, man. Not doing a whole lot of nothing. Writing, uh, playing video games, smoking pot,
Trying to get through?
trying to be a good boy and not be an asshole and go out there.
I hear you. You're outside of Chicago now. Am I correct?
I am I think it's a rite of passage when you get older. You grow up in a city, and as you get older, you want to move out because you just get older. So I'm only 20 minutes outside of the city, 10 minutes actually. It's funny because everybody I know in the city now, the younger guys, they all grew up out in the suburbs out here. Now they live in the city and
Right.
I moved out to the suburbs. And I feel they'll probably eventually want to move back to the suburbs too. It's just you get older, you want to slow it down a little bit.
I'm the same way. I don't live in a big city now myself either. I enjoy having a little bit of peace and quiet. It's
Sure.
helps with the sanity.
It only makes sense too. It's a little cheaper out here. Everything's a little cheaper. And
Oh, I couldn't afford to live in Seattle itself. Jesus Christ, that's with all the Amazon money blowing the real estate market up. Fuck that. Um, I want to start really quick by just saying simply that if there's anybody watching this video who has not gone to the Jungle Rot Jimmy Instagram page, you have no fucking idea what you're missing.
oh,
Your feed for me does a couple of things. One, it's an education in death metal. You will give us stuff that we all have listened to in the past. You have a huge and I should say extreme metal in general, right? Not just death metal, because we know that King Diamond has a near and dear place to your heart.
that's my favorite.
That is. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but people have got to check out the IG because you learn a lot about death metal. Plus, you're funny as fuck. So you will put some stuff up there that is an absolute riot. One of the obvious themes through all of these conversations that I've had is I'm talking to musicians, and it fucking sucks. I mean, that's the bottom line. A lot of people were ready to go on tours, etc. You get all your merch, you put the money in up front to print up all that shit. Go ahead.
A lot of us work in the entertainment industry or bar industry or service industry, so that double fucks us because not only we are not on tour, but we're not working our service industry jobs either.
Absolutely. Some bands I know are trying to draw attention to. I know, I think this Friday Bandcamp is doing some stuff. There's some different stuff going on. Are you guys, do you, as Jungle Rot or any of the other projects that you're involved in, do you have anything that you're trying to draw attention to right now to just kind of, boost ways that fans can support you during this shitty time?
In all honesty, not really. Jungle Rot is in this writing process. Plus, Victory, our label Victory, was sold. There's a new label being birthed from it. I'm not quite sure what the details are. I'm not at liberty to say just yet. So we're kind of in a holding pattern with that. So in the meantime, Dave and Jeff are up there. They're in Wisconsin. They've been sending me skeleton songs, you know what I mean, with mumble tracks for me to write lyrics for. And I'm getting started on that. I'm getting, working my song titles, researching some subjects, just trying to spend some of the time wisely. I mean, I can't spend it all wisely because you can't force it. But, when at least I know that I got my pen and paper, I got my computer, when the idea hits, I can just sit down and write it, and at least we're doing something. Hopefully we're going to do another record. I mean, we talked about it, but I guess we're going to do another record. We don't know what label it's going to be on, but that's, we're not really doing anything special. I mean, I think we're all just focused on writing and staying at home. We don't live too close to each other, so we all kind of live far away. Our drummer's in Ohio. Our guitar player lives 2 hours north.
So Spencer, the drummer, he's become, in the last year, he's become an official. I know when I saw you guys in Seattle last, he was kind of not he was the touring drummer, but Spencer is now a full-blown member of the Jungle Rot family, correct?
He is. He proved himself. He really seemed like he wanted, to be in the band. He he wants to do it full time. He wants to, to write the drum parts. You know what I mean? He wants to take that challenge on, and that's cool. I mean, and he proved himself. He went on the tours. He did his job every night. It wasn't a hassle. He was a good kid. He worked hard. I mean, and we're all getting older. It's good to have the younger guy in the band because he's fucking moved. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're
Especially
all just kind of like,
kit.
yeah, we're getting out of the truck. We're all creaky and he just popped out. He's running around. He's like, what do you guys, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's like, okay, good.
Right.
But yeah, he's a macho kid too. He knows what he's doing. And we all like him and he likes us. And that's a big point. We get along. So we figured we might as well keep him around for a little while.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about, if you don't mind, just take some time to talk about your musical journey. Okay. Just kind of give some thumbnails. I told you, I don't even know if we had been recording at that point, but I told you how when I lived out in the Midwest, I actually first heard you. I didn't realize that it was James yet, but sure. I really dug the Seeds of Abysmal Torment.
Oh yeah.
Album, by Flesh Grind, and so maybe, and I know before that you were in Dysphoria. Actually, you released in 2018, but you were in Dysphoria in way back, right?
I mean, yeah. When I get into the story, yeah, that's for sure. That was the first real like professional kind of band that I joined with, like shows and like demos and actually getting shit out there, So yeah, and we broke up in 1995, and we had talked about it for a couple of years doing it, but we never did it till like 2016, and we just got together and jammed and put an album out in 2018.
Yeah, and that album is Foul Ashes of Deceit, and it fucking kicks ass.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's and for that, correct me if I'm wrong, you're actually playing guitar on that, brother, right?
I am. I played bass at first. When we started getting back together, it was obvious the guys that continued on really with music in other bands after Dysphoria broke up, like our guitar player Richie went on to play with like a big hardcore band called Blood In, Blood Out. Our singer Nick went on to play in like Commandant. He was a singer for Commandant for a while. He did like projects like Incestuous and Stone Magnum. And I kept busy too. And the other guys didn't really seem to keep busy. So we just wanted to keep the guys that wanted to keep it busy and kept in touch and always saw each other, and we didn't really see the other two guys too often and never talked. So we just figured we'd get some new guys and I'd play the guitar.
What was it like? I mean, to have I can only imagine, right? I was in bands when I was younger and, we were in our fucking late teens, early 20s, full of piss and vinegar, having dreams of taking over the world. And then to come back 25, 30 fucking years later.
Right.
What was that like as an experience? Like, I mean, that must have been killer.
It was the best part about it was really like no pressure, Back in the 90s, there was a lot of pressure. Actually, the band was really being looked at by some really big labels in like 95, and it's kind of what split us up because it caused a couple rifts, where people wanted to go. And so, at this time, we were able to just record some of the songs we had back then, record them a little bit more fluid, with a couple new ones in, and there was no pressure. That was the best part about it. It was just more like friends getting together, you know what I mean, and not having to do it, but more just fun, And that was probably the best part about it. It still is with jamming with those guys because we just get together and we talk for like 3 hours and then jam for an hour,
Right, yeah.
We watch football, we drink beers, and and just it's more like friends, instead of like a job,
Yeah. It's kill. I would really recommend it to anybody. I'll put a link to it, like I said in the description, just to kind of get to it because it's really kick ass. So Dysphoria, and then from there there may be other parts of the story I'm missing.
Right Dysphoria, I joined a doom metal band from Chicago, Avernus, who had just put out a demo and an album, and we did a tour the first year I joined them, and I am still, that band never breaks up. We kind of call it more like an art collective now at this point. It's more like a cult. We never really break up. People come, people go, they help out, they record something. We don't release it for some reason. We just have a bad habit of recording shit and not releasing it. I think it's just more like near and dear to our hearts as a group. It's something that we don't really care if anybody likes, you know what I mean? But it's, you know, it's more doom metal. It's more on the side of like My Dying Bride, Paradise Lost, Skepticism, you know, Thurgathon, stuff like that, with a little bit of anathema.
Does it allow you to do because of the way you approach that band? Does it allow you to just do some creative shit that maybe if it was, you know, there was some pressure around it, it'd be like, oh fuck, I can't try that. You know,
Right.
so do you get to experiment a bit more with that project?
I would say, yeah, of course, a little bit more. It's still got some parameters, I would say, but you know, it's not like the parameters like a Jungle Rot or Dysphoria. Jungle Rot has to sound a certain way. It just does. At this point, it's like it would be like Slayer trying to sound like Iron Maiden. You know, it just wouldn't work. You know, you stick. We're just sticking with that style. But Avernus has got a little bit more room for expansion and creativity, as long as it falls around that doom metal spectrum. Um, as long as it's emotional and sad, you know, and that's, you know, that's like the heart band, you know what I mean? I've been doing that for a long time. It means a lot to me. And yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that we can get together. I'm writing stuff right now, me and the guitar player writing, and we're going to try to release something too. With that band, I've been in 27 years.
That's incredible. That's an awesome story. That's really cool for you there. And so that's where you go from. You go to Avernus there, and then tell me about Flesh Grind. Where does this hop in? That's another band that, Jesus Christ, that's some. I'm a big fan of grind and that kind of approach to music. So that was kind of near and dear to my heart. You played on two LPs of theirs?
2 out of 3, yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about that experience, what that was like, how you hooked up, and then.
Flesh Grind, I joined right around the same time I joined Avernus, which was kind of like my pattern. I always like being in different bands so I could get out different outlets, you know. That was about 97 when I joined Flesh Grind. Right after their first album came out, the bass player quit and the drummer quit. And then me and Alan, drummer that joined when I joined, we joined up, and that just took off from there. You know, we did some touring. The next album was like 2001, Seeds of Abysmal Torment. That was my first real album, I guess. We did, Rich broke his leg real bad on tour for that album. Like, right, I mean, like where the middle of his calf went like that. You know what I mean? Damn. It was brutal. And he was in like one of those erector sets around his leg and in a wheelchair for almost a year. And it set the band back really bad, and it fucked morale up really bad. It's just because he couldn't do anything. Like, I broke my ankle two years ago. It's still suffering from it, but it's not as bad. I can play, I can move, you know what I mean? So then we recorded that last album. We didn't get along with the drummer that well. And then we had another drummer for about a year after that, and we just, Rich got really weird, the singer. He got really into like his crystal healing and therapy. I don't know what he does. I can't explain it, but
fair enough.
He got into some weird religious kind of spiritual healing kind of shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, good for him, whatever. I'll still say hi to him on Facebook, but
meanwhile, you're getting into spiritual healing by death.
Right. So that was about 2005, and at that point I just joined Jungle Rot. Yeah. Dave called me up, he said I need a bass player. I had already done 2 tours with Jungle Rot on guitar.
Okay, so you had known them then before your first Warzone is the first album itself, but you had been with them on tours, etc.
I did 2 tours with them, filling in. Sorry, I'm getting the message here.
That's fine.
I did 2 tours with them. Yes, before I joined permanently, I did 2 tours with them. Filling in, I did one in Europe where I played guitar, which is where the DVD was recorded that we released in 2006. And then I did a tour with them with Deicide in the U.S. on bass. And then their bass player quit permanently, so I just joined. Right. And that's been ever since. It's been 16 years.
Yeah, that's been an incredible relationship. And it's an interesting arc for a band, because I think the case can be made that with each successive release, you guys get tighter as a unit, to the point where the last 2 releases for me, Order Shall Prevail and the self-titled release out in 2018, I mean, those were just scorching, right? Those are killer albums. And right now during lockdown, to be listening with all the weird shit going on, to listen to songs like Doomsday and Burning Cinder and shit. It's like, man, these motherfuckers could just write the soundtrack for this crazy shit that's going down right now.
Definitely on fire. We found our stride for sure, you know, after like getting signed with Victory and having the support and the money behind to help us out, take our time a little bit. And we just, you know, got the stuff we needed. You know, we write real simply. It comes together really fast. We go in the studio, it comes to life there, you know, and all of a sudden it's, you know, our producer puts his input in, and we've definitely found our stride though, especially like the three of us, me, Dave, and Jeff, with the writing. You know what I mean? It just comes naturally now. We know exactly what we're looking for. We know what the band's supposed to sound like, you know.
You've used Bell City up in Racine for quite a while now, right?
Yeah. Chris has actually done every single Jungle Rot release, but just he owns Bell City, and he was just under a different name a couple of releases ago. It was Studio One at one time, and yeah, he's done every release. Chris the Jerk, they call him Chris Wisco, but he was in the band at one time too.
You had mentioned earlier that right now you're kind of collectively trying to use this time to put some Jungle Rot tunes together. That's awesome to hear. I want to ask you just kind of I need to just have you talk to me about King Diamond. Okay? You can't view your Instagram page without realizing that one of your favorite musicians, one of your favorite all-time extreme metal performers is the King. So I would just love to have you talk about what it is about King Diamond that you just absolutely adore. It's fun to hear people talk about why they love certain bands.
I'll tell you what it is too. You know, when you're a kid, you're like 8, 9, maybe you're buying your first records, you know, and I was buying, you know, a Duran, Kiss, you know what I mean? And I thought, you know, it was outlandish and wild, you know. And then around 1985, I was with one of my friends, and he had an older cousin that we hang out with. He was like 17, 16. He smoked weed all the time and got us fucking high. He's like, hey, man, I'm going to see this band. You guys are coming with, man. It's cheap. It was only $5 or something like that. It was Halloween night or something. It was Merciful Fate.
Oh.
So my first concert being Merciful Fate, it was just changed my life. You know what I mean? It was just, that was the catalyst for everything. So how can I not love the King? You know what I mean? I mean, look at this. Look at this coat. Look at this custom coat.
That is the best. That is the best. Have you had the opportunity to meet him?
I have. I've actually had the opportunity to tour with him too. It was very pleasant.
You got to tell me what that was like. What the fuck was that like for you?
He's very pleasant. He's a very pleasant man. I've met him over the years a couple times. One of my good buddies, Willie G, happens to be his one of his guitar techs, you know. So he's arranged a meeting here and there. When I was younger, I met him a couple times. Quick handshake, out of there. I didn't ever want my image marred, you know what I mean, of him if he, you know, was upset or pissed. I just didn't want to do it, you know. So it was always cool to meet him. It was just really quick though, always in and out, you know. Rest of the band would hang out, but King was always just out of there, you know. And then in 2015, when we did the Mayhem Fest tour, King was on that. And of course, Willie was on that. So I would, you know, after our set, I'd go take a shower and walk the grounds and then go on the stage when King was playing, you know, like on the side of the stage, hanging out with Willie in my bath towel, you know. It was so awesome to sit there and wrapped in a towel watching King Diamond from the stage, you know what I mean? And, you know, his band got to talking to us, and we would talk to the band, just hanging out with the band. And I mean, they're super cool guys, you know, super cool people. And met King on that tour and hung out and bullshitted a little bit, and he was a super cool guy. You know, I just want to ever keep it at that. You know, they always say don't meet your idols because you'll be disappointed. So I always try to keep my interactions with him short, you know, just so I don't ever want my image of him fucked up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But to me, it was just the catalyst for all metal. You know, I knew then and there that I wanted to do that on stage, and seriously, in all seriousness, I'd still love to do a band someday where I was like masked or something and nobody knew who it was. You know what I mean?
Right.
It would be cool, you know?
Absolutely.
But he changed my life. You know, he changed my life. So, yeah, King is my.
So that was that's the first show that you ever saw, was the Merciful Fate show.
First metal show. My dad was, so I had seen shows before. And I'd seen him play, and I went to Chicago Fest and shit like that, But my first intimate metal show in a dark theater, and fucking upside down crosses and shit, it was pretty fucking intense for an 11-year-old.
Oh my God, that's awesome. That is so cool.
Yeah.
So from that experience, has sprung what I would loosely call just a metal junkie. You're like me. You love metal. You live on metal. In these times where we're all searching for shit to do,
mm-hmm.
do you have some metal bands that you think that either people should know more about, or that are just drop some metal knowledge on me? I know in particular death metal, a shitload about, but just give me some stuff.
I'll probably drop some death metal on you. What I mean, especially like what I've been listening to lately. I've been buying a lot of shit. I got some sitting right here I've been listening to. This band from Denmark, they're called Neerdolk. I can't pronounce Neerdolk. Man, it's insane. It's like G.G. Allen, like punk rock, but just super black metaled out with a lot of like weird like Voivod and Jesus Lizard like shit in there. It's really fucked up, man. I really like it. One of my favorite.
Hang on 1 second. You brought up Jesus Lizard, who I am a huge fan of. And I just thought of something that I should have maybe connected at one point, but it's out of the blue here. And we'll just edit it out if it goes nowhere. But I'm a huge fan of like Big Black, Steve Albini, Rape Man, Shellac. Was there ever any kind of connections between the Midwest metal scene and that kind of touch and go alternative and even was there some mingling there that happened or
yeah, in Chicago for sure. Like people went to extreme stuff. I was one of those guys that liked going to extreme shows. It didn't matter if it was metal or not. I saw a lot of weird bands in Chicago. I like weird music too. I like weird abstract dissonant music. I like weird sounds. I wouldn't even say music. I like sounds. Things, like even just the weirdest little noises, sometimes I think I could sample that, it's just, I like sounds, I really do.
I think of early Die Cruising and shit like that, where they're incorporating, I mean, it's crazy.
There's a total history there for sure. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of guys in my metal scene here that definitely would go to like Lounge X was the club here in Chicago and go see like Jesus Lizard and, Tortoise and shit like that, you know what I mean? And I mean, that's cool. I would pop in, if I could go, I'd go, just for something to do, if anything, but, you'd always see some cool bands.
Absolutely. Thank you. We'll get back to the death metal recommendations. I kind of connected those dots as we were talking. So drop another death metal band we should be listening to.
There's a cool underground death metal label out now. They're called Maggot Stomp. They're really kicking ass, man. They're putting out everything cool. I got lately this new album from a band called Fluids. Kind of like Morticianist kind of grind, and then this band called Disembowel, who are kind of like old school, like Finnish, like death metal sounding kind of.
Very cool. The cover artwork on both of those is fucking incredible.
Pretty cool. These guys are called Maul. They're out of like North Dakota. They're really good right now. I really like the tape. They're really, really sick. So yeah, these guys are called Mind Loss. I don't know if you can see it. They're from Chicago.
Absolutely.
They're old school death metal, man. I mean, everybody's on Bandcamp these days. If you just search Bandcamp, you can't miss these bands. They're all over it if you're searching for death metal, you know what I mean?
And I'll put links in the description when I put out this video, just so people can jump right to those and kind of get a sample for what you're grooving to lately.
Yeah, that's what's sitting on the desk here that I've been listening to lately. So that's, yeah.
Beautiful. Here's the last question for you, okay? Let's say I could get you in a time machine.
Okay.
And I could take you back so you could meet a 15-year-old James.
15-year-old James, huh?
Yeah. And I said, listen, you got 1 minute. You can give yourself one piece of advice. What would that piece of advice be?
You're not going to like it.
Actually, that means I probably fucking will.
I probably would have told myself, do not get so involved in music. Not necessarily because it's not a bad thing, but I mean, I focused so much time on it, you know what I mean? And I didn't finish college or anything like that. So sometimes I wish I would have I'm not poor, but I'm not rich by any means. And sometimes I wish I would have maybe pursued something else. I mean, everybody thinks about that, you know what I mean? But I'm very invested in music. I can't help myself when it comes to buying music. I can't help myself when it comes to buying records and tapes. And I'm very, I buy it,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess and it's kind of a shitty thing to say, but I mean, I probably wouldn't be so invested in music. I spend a lot of money on it. It's definitely an addiction. I'm pretty sure you understand.
I do.
I probably would have told myself to finish college though, or maybe try to do something with a career like in that instance, you know what I mean? But I don't know if I'm cut out for that. I think it's just me thinking the grass is greener, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like on the other side, and I don't think I'm cut out for that situation. No, that whole situation is weird.
There's something said, there's something to what you said about the grass being greener, but to be honest with you, that's a really thoughtful answer.
Sure.
And so in that sense, there's no way that I could be upset with that answer. That's a straight from the heart answer. You're fucking keeping it real, man.
Maybe I wouldn't have started smoking cigarettes, huh? Ooh.
That would have been a good piece of advice to give.
That's a good piece of advice. How much,
like I said, it's been 3 years for me. How much is a pack of fucking smokes right now with taxes and shit?
In Chicago, $15 easy.
Oh!
Easy.
Holy shit.
Yeah, by me, it's about 10, 11. That's nuts.
Yeah, that is crazy.
I need to stop.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Do what I did. What I did was I upped the intake of something else. And that got me through.
I'm doing it too, but it's still rough. I mean, you know how it is.
I do. Well, listen, brother, I want to thank you for taking the time to shoot the shit with me.
Yeah, man.
That was fucking awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want you to be safe. Hopefully this thing will be over soon. And
I hope.
And I don't know what
I need to go to a show bad.
Yeah, I know. I'm going through fucking withdrawal. You talk about quitting cigarettes. I almost get that. And like when I'm putting on, getting ready for this, I put on like Order Shall Prevail a couple hours ago, and I just started going, oh god damn, I want to just the whole feel. And the other thing is there's a real community in the extreme metal scene.
For sure.
And so I miss seeing my local bands as well as the national and international acts. I miss seeing the people at the shows that you get used to seeing at your local club, and it's a pisser, man. But we'll see each other on the other side, and you'll see me in the front row with my camera banging my fucking head.
Absolutely, brother.
and we'll split one after the show, all right?
Don't forget about that.
Absolutely. All right, have a good one.
You too, sir. Have a good one.
Adios.
Bye-bye.